Hi guys, and welcome back. In this edition, we are going to go ahead and start with some masking. Maybe you guys haven't seen this before, maybe you already have. You can always skip ahead. The spray work is going to happen. Just had two more windows to mask, so just went ahead and covered them up real quick. Um, this is Trimaco masking film. If you've never tried it, it actually works pretty good. And you notice it does have some static to stay on the glass, and it's a little bit thicker than the 3M, so I kind of like it a little better. It doesn't tear quite as easy. Some people like it to be like the 3M because it does tear, but when I fold it under like that, a lot of times I get tears in it. Kind of irritates me, but it does. The 3M red stuff does stay on the glass better than this stuff. But anyway, it does. I really like this stuff. I use it. It's a little cheaper. Of course, we're always a little cheaper, trying to save a buck here and there, and it works just fine for that. I mean, it's only a couple dollars a roll, but on a job that can add up to a lot of money. So yeah, I just I'm using the orange tape. I like the orange tape. On the hand masker, it's a little bit easier to use the blue, but if you kind of get used to it, the orange works fine too. Or if you're gonna take it off the same day, you can get away with using the white, and it works fine as well. The white tape's a little thin, and the orange has a little bit of a lacquer on it, and it's just a little bit more money, and it just does your masking a little bit easier. So I like to use the orange. I used this right when it first started coming out, and just be careful with the orange. Even you still can't leave it in the sun at all. It'll die pretty quick if you leave a roll of tape in the sun. It deteriorates pretty quickly. I mean, the white just deteriorates in a matter of hours, really, or a couple of days. This stuff takes a couple of weeks or something, So blue, man, you can abuse the heck out of that stuff, and it seems to last a lot longer. So, yep, two more windows. Just gonna mask them off real quick, and we'll continue on spraying. If you guys haven't seen me spray, I know it's to me it's just nothing, but there's a lot of technique in it. A lot of people just think is spraying is like you just open the spray gun up and whip it around and you're fine. But yeah, if you do that, you're gonna find a lot of overspray. So preventing that is the key thing. And you notice I don't have the ground covered, so I don't want to make any overspray.
Oh yeah. Alright, we got a minute. I still gotta do upstairs, a little bit up there.
So I'm going to go ahead and start spraying here pretty quick. Once I get this last window masked, I don't even know if I do this part first or if I go upstairs. I think I went upstairs next. I'll just do these windows real quick and get this over with. A lot of guys take the tape and they put it around their wrist, and that's fine. I can't do that. My hands are too big. So this is like, I call this a human masking machine. The way we used to do automotive stuff was this way. And with the other way, if they're on your wrist, you can pull off pieces and then put them on, pull off a piece and put it on. Either way works. It's up to you. How do you do it? Yeah. But if you do get hurt and your wrist is broken, you're not going to get that roll of tape off of there, man. Fall off a ladder, something like that. Yeah.
So much better.
So anyway, we're going to go on. He's blown out all the stuff. It's his house. They came over to kind of help him out. It's been neglected a long time. It's like 25 years of not painting it.
Yeah,
So
a lot
the
of times I'll
stucco
hit it
was
with the
super,
airless and it just
super
blows
faded.
all the dust away ahead of me.
And grabbing my cardboard,
So it's
gonna lay them
pretty
out.
good.
The brown I did not
Protection
mask.
from that.
I used cardboard shields. You can do it either way. If you want to mask the ground, you can do that. Sweep it. If you have a helper or something like that, it does help to have somebody um, at the ground level, you know, sweeping up and doing that. So anyway, I went upstairs. This deck is getting torn down. The reason I'm painting this area first is because we just wanted to use it as scaffolding, and that way, because the eaves were in extremely bad shape, and I used a spinning tip on the power washer and removed pretty much everything that was loose. I mean, it came off, you know, so whatever was remaining, I ran a scraper over a couple places and it was like down tight. So I really took my time with the power washer. You know, you guys that I was using 13 horsepower power washer with a spinning tip on it, you know, the oscillating tip they call it or whatever. And then I just had a couple, you know, there was a lot of raw wood there, so a couple stainage looking guys, and just wanted to get a little more paint on them. They're up really high, and he's not going to have the deck there anymore. He's going to put in a Luma wood patio cover and eliminate the deck. You just don't use it, and it's just a, you know, termite and dry rot mess. So I mean, look at how much lumber is now. I mean, who wants to pay for that? A lot of guys are just doing the, you know, you could spend $5,000 in new lumber to replace that deck, or you could get a brand new patio cover for $4. Wood with foam core. And it's basically, you know, it's funny how, you know, this has changed. Now, since they call it Aluma wood, now it's okay. And people go, oh, I don't want one of those aluminum patio covers. You know, like the old trailers had, you know, some guys would, and some guys put those up. The one he's going to get is like a foam core, so it's a walk-on one. I really don't like it when people buy those corrugated ones, because then I've got to scaffold it in ladders, you know, and risk damaging it, and I always have them sign a waiver that says, you know, hey, I'm not responsible for that thing, because it's not designed really to walk on, and you know, you gotta walk on it to do the work. Oh, you're not going to damage it, are you? Well, you should have put up one that you can walk on. You got to go on top of it. Who's going to do the work above that? Oh, never thought about that. Okay, well, we do our best not to damage it, but you should have gotten one that has a foam core in it, because they're designed to be able to walk on. It's not a deck, but it's designed to walk on, so you can do work above it. So if you're buying a patio cover, please get the one, yeah, they're more money. Please get the one that you can walk on, because there's got to, you know, if you've got a 2-story house, they're going to be working on it at some point. So, you know, make sure you do that. It's courtesy to the people, and, you know, don't expect your painter to not damage, you know, your patio cover because you went cheap. All right, just saying. So anyway, cardboard shield. I'll take those downstairs. All the ones I got. I only had about 5 or 10, 5 or 6 maybe, 5, 7. I just put them in this, you know, scrape them off on the wall, put them in the sun, let them dry. You don't need 100, 200 patio, you know, cardboard shields to do a job. And I always try and keep paint on one side of the patio, on one side of the shield while I'm using them. So I'll put them in the sun, let them dry, and I'll keep using that same edge, because I don't want to grab onto the painted side with my hands. You know, then you got paint on your hands, and you got paint on the, you know, paint all over the place. So, you know, try and follow those rules if you can, and use one side of the shield,
What you
because
should do is just take a day
then you're gonna,
and get all this done and go over.
you know, have less
Everybody
problems.
just gang up on it.
So
And just it'll be done.
anyway, if you have your guns set up the way that I do, there's really no need to cover the ground. A lot of people go, "Oh my God, you're not covering the ground. You've got overspray all over that." Absolutely not. I do not have overspray or dust anywhere. Like I said, if you have your gun set up just right, you can actually spray more than 95% of what you're spraying. I mean, it's like near 100 on the wall, and there's just not even an immeasurable amount of dust. So, and it just depends on how thick your paint is. If you thin your paint too much, you can't do it, guys. If you're using a cheap, small spray rig, you might have to cover the concrete, because, you know, it's just the way it is. So if you're a homeowner, you know, if you're first time spraying, you might not want to try this, okay? Just, if you buy one of those Viva spray rigs, those things work great, you know? I mean, it actually works pretty darn good for a $150 spray rig. Maybe I'll put a link in the description for that. They're actually a super good deal to me. And, you know, how long is it going to last? It doesn't really matter at $150. I mean, you couldn't even rent something that would work as good as that thing does for $150. And, you know, yeah, I'm using a 515 tip. So what comes on those is a 517, and they work fine. You know, you can do it with that. 4-finger spray gun. This is a $300 Graco silver gun, and I'm using a flat tip. So you can get a flat tip setup if you want for that gun as well. The flat tips are a lot cheaper. You should be replacing your tip every 100 to 200 gallons, somewhere in there. So if you're not doing that, then you're gonna waste a lot more material. A lot of guys are using reversa tips, and like, oh, these are the future, these are better. You know, you get plug ups with those, and I can just reverse it and then clean it out. You know, all I have to do usually is just tap it on the concrete, and it blows whatever's in there out. I usually don't have to take my tip off. I might have to once a day take the tip off, turn it over, put it back on the rig, and spray a little bit of paint through it. I mean, once. So, I mean, how much time is that? And how much money are you spending on tips at $30 a piece, you know? And you do get more overspray. They do waste more material. So you're wasting material. You're getting you know, all those things add up to a significant amount of money. And, you know, more time. If you've got to cover more because you're using a reversa tip, you're spending more money on materials for that. You're spending more time covering things. It's just, you guys, I don't know why people fight me on this. A flat tip setup, and just stick with it. You just have to just learn it, stay with it. And people are like, oh, that's the old way. Well, why did people do that for so long? And all of a sudden somebody comes out with a reversa tip, and they're like, oh my God, those are so much better. It's because guys are not using a cone filter on their tip. They're using just a gun filter, and the gun filters, you know, cause stuff to go through them more often, and you still get plug ups. And if you have to stop and turn that tip and stop, and you're stopping, you know, it's like, hello. You're still doing all the same things you used to do, but you're spending $30 on a tip, you know, and then you're using that thing for, you know, a lot longer than you should, because you're spending $30 on it. You know, it's just crazy. I don't know, but guys fight me with it. Oh no, I'm using a new system. I don't use that. You know, it's a sales thing. You know, the big companies like Graco, Titan, you know, they make so much money on those tips, and you know, it's really profitable for them, and they promote it, and you guys all buy into it, you know, and it's kind of, you know, get suckered in. That's the way it works. So this whole things here, those things are getting removed. What I'm doing here is I'm cross spraying this, and if you don't know, I'm always spraying 90 degrees to the wall. It doesn't look like it in the camera because it's a wide angle,
That's it.
but I am always spraying 90 degrees to the wall. I don't whip my gun. I don't, all those things create overspray. You guys, if you whip your gun, if you're, you know, getting to the edge and you need to whip, like I got guys tell me, oh, those lines, they'll all show up, you know, come back an hour later, or whatever, 2 hours, 3 hours, the next day, whenever it's dry, and all that stuff is gone. You can't see, and even that little fan edge, it's not a finger. I'll call that a finger. So they turn up their pressure, turn up their pressure, turn up their pressure, and they turn the pressure up till that finger, that little edge is gone, and they've got the pressure way too high, and then their lap marks all show up because they've got fatties where you lap over. You know, I've tried to explain this many times, and it's the mistakes a lot of guys make. I mean, it's like, I don't know, you know, and some guys just make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over and never really learn, you know. I mean, I guess I knew that they were mistakes because the guys that I work for would tell me, you know, no, that's not right. You got to do this, got to do that. And you know, it just took years for me to learn. But you know, at first I was fighting it. You know, I was like all you guys that are fighting it. You know, you say, oh, you're crazy. That doesn't work. You know, bunch of, you know, whatever. You know, and then after years of doing it and thinking about what they were saying in the back of my head, I'd be like, you know, I'd be learning, hey, you know what? They're right. They know what they're saying. And then finally, you know, I learned coming towards the end of the day, so I'm kind of just rounding up my, you know, you guys, whenever you're working, you are always moving your equipment as you go, so at the end of the day, you don't have this big cleanup, guys. So while I was getting my ladder, I'm moving a couple things around, putting my trash in a pile so nobody walks in through it, making sure my shields are somewhere where somebody's not going to walk on it and step off of it, you know. I don't have anybody there helping me, but you know, the homeowner might just walk on a shield, not thinking, and you know. So anyway, I'll make sure that that doesn't happen, you know, just to keep everything clean and nice. But yeah, it's so funny how many people fight me on this stuff. And a lot of you guys do this the same way. And a lot of you guys that watch are excellent painters. I can tell, you know, because of your comments, and appreciate those comments and your support, because there's just so much, you know, on YouTube. There just is so many guys that are just absolute amateurs that are great at camera work and not very good painters. You know, they're not really teaching the trade the right way. And they're teaching stuff that's okay. You could learn from it, you know. But you may not learn the fastest and most profitable way to paint, you know. So that's why I started doing this. I was like, well, you know. If you look, it's hard to tell. It looks almost like I'm angling outward a little bit, but I'm actually spraying very, very, very 90 degrees to the wall. Never, never, never do I blow out, you know. Every once in a while I do, because there's a reason why. So, you know, and if you see here, there's a couple cracks in the wall. I'm going to come back and catch those. We are going to tear down that whole patio cover. But, and I know there's probably going to be some cracks and scuff marks and stuff like that from that. So, again, we'll just go back and, you know, I think we're going to put a starter board up there and knock out some of those things. But he was like, just paint it now. And then we'll come back and hit it. Yeah, that's the way I like to do it. Just get it done. Don't stop and look too much. You know, some guys will stop and walk around with a cock and gun for hours and hours or days and days. And, you know, go through, blast through, do all the stuff you can get. One shot. Just go around and catch everything you see really quickly. Don't stop and look at anything. And then go around with your spray gun, paint it, and go, oh, there's one right there. I'll catch that one in a little bit. Catch it on the second pass, you know. I don't know, guys that just think you gotta get it all the first time. You're not gonna. I don't care how slow you go. And then what happens is you wasted all those man hours, you know, walking around when you could have just been painting, and you come back and do a little touch up. It's not that hard. I don't know. I know guys who do it that way. I know guys who do that. They'll spend all those man hours, and then at the end of the job, they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't make any money." It's like, you should be focused on that. If you're in business, you need to make money. You make sure that at the end of, well, I'll just charge them more next time. No. I can do it the same job, make it look just as nice, in less man hours. So you're gonna lose the job. And that's what other guys will do. So you've got to learn this stuff, guys. It's so important, you know, especially today. I mean, look at how competitive it is. This is not the problem isn't the competitors. It's the cost of doing the job. And you go to the people and you tell them the price, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't do it." They just don't have the money. So if you want to price yourself out of work, you know, start doing all the stuff the way that I'm not doing it. You know, go out and learn how to cardboard shield. You know, you're going to save a lot of materials. You know, I even like the eaves. If I was doing the eaves in the stucco different colors, I would cardboard shield those things, and I would go back with a brush and clean it up. It's not just because, you know, it's because you know, when I work by myself. It's faster for me, way faster for me to do that in a mask. If you have a masker, that's great. Have them mask the eaves. But, you know, if you don't, you know, maybe it's time to let go of the masker, you know, and say, hey, sorry, man. I've got to make a profit. And now I'm going to just spray cardboard shield and cut my price a little bit and you know, keep working. You know, that's what it's all about, guys. We're coming to the end here pretty soon. I'm just spraying around that. I'm just spraying right around that water softener that's coming out. So just wait for him to do that. I'm just doing this section of the house, and then we'll be continuing on with this in the future here. I don't know when, and I'm going to go ahead and spray out the rest of the house. There's just tons of prep. You know, it's not good. It's a bad one. I'll talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.